Hey everybody, it's a little cold here. Hopefully I'm not too loud. I'm going to turn off the fan a little bit. Let's see, check the volume a bit. Okay. This is Will Cole here. I'm here to talk about my tournament. We did ARG states this weekend. Well, there's two of them, but I went to the first one at Car Party Underground. We had ourselves about 32 competitors there, and of course I took my tried and true Robos there. Of course, what you're looking at here is Goyusha and Grand Seed. I made space in my build for both of them actually, and I want to explain this part first. But first, I guess I'll go over how I did. Overall, today we had 5 rounds of Swiss, and I went 3 and 2. I managed to take out the Deep Police mirror match against Metal Wars. You know, Civil War is real. I managed to barely scrape out a win against dangerous Nubas. And I won against Kagero as well. My losses for the day included a match against Tolbert and his Aquaforce that ended up topping the event, and with Maverick, who was playing Ezel Beatdown, and I should have felt the wrath of the Knights on that one. With that said, let's go ahead and begin the profile, and I'll go over card choices and whatnot. But as you can see, I did have Goyusha and Grand Seed in the build. Now, certain matchups allow for me to enjoy the scenarios, but one thing that I actually took into consideration is the concept of pacing. Goyusha is a lot more of an aggro scenario, where it's like, you know, if I'm going like first, for example, it'd be nice to have Goyusha out there, so that way I can just get to grade 3 and then sit there, and then at some point Grand Seed sometimes jumps into my hand and go from there through twin drives and whatnot, allowing for me to have the purpose of a starter. In other cases, I know it's going to be a slower match, so then I can use Grand Seed as a start, and then if Goyusha comes to my hand afterwards, I can go ahead and kind of run it down from there, so that way Goyusha can get a chance to get his skills off and keep flying from there. But yeah, it gave me a chance to give my opponent a different look, and it gave me a chance to either speed up or slow down my own tempo and pace throughout the course of the day. So all in all, I think it did me really well. I mean, 3 and 2 is a good showing. But one day I'll decide on which one I like better. For the moment, I did play both of them in my build, so I mean to get an extra 10k shield to work with, right? Alright, next up, let's go over the trigger lineups for the day. Okay, so for the triggers, I played it's a standard 4 heals, just because, you know, 4 heals are required. I played 8 crits. I want to say it was 8 crits and 4 draw. Yeah, 8 crits and 4 draw. So the goal for me was to focus in on playing aggressive, but I was still trying to maintain a defensive measure as well by playing draws. Usually I run stands, but I was thinking about the Kageros that were going to be running around, and how a lot of my rear guards weren't going to be around for me to restand anyway with the stand triggers. So I decided to go a little more so with the draws in order to see if I could facilitate some hand advantage back while I was trying to get through my plays. And of course, running the draws and Goyusha really helped out, so that way I didn't take as much of a neg on my hand advantage, because I could just use the die cranes in order to push him for Goyusha skill. So it helped out a bit in that regard. Alright, on to my grade 1s. Okay, so for my grade 1s, I ran a couple of die lines, like 3 die lines, and then I played 2 Yukas, because it always helps out to have them around, just because it makes life a little bit easier. I played 2 of the commanders. I only played 2 of the commanders. It's not that I don't like them, it's just that I think 2 is a good number. You don't want to see them all the time, and you don't want to ride them all the time, so it's like you want to at least see it. So I think 2 is a good number for it. I feel like it's not the best card as far as endgame scenarios for Robos, because if I hit you for 3 crits, it's over with. And then of course you got your 4 PGs. I'm not using the unflippers because of Die Bazooka, but so let's just keep with the OG perfect guards, protect everyone equally. Okay, next up we'll talk about the grade 2s, and I played Bois. I played 2 of those. Pretty much if it hits, you retire it, and then it lets you search your deck for a card with limit break ability, which is, you know, your Die Kaiser if you don't have it yet, or for me, sometimes Shadow Kaiser, or sometimes a Grit Daisha. It gives you like stride fodder almost. So if you don't have a grade 3 in your hand for some odd reason on Robos, if you can get a bois off, then that means that you got a grade 3 in your hand for, you know, not only riding but striding as well. So it had a good pressure, and it worked pretty well for the times that I saw it. So it was actually really good to have around. I played it as a 2 of. Dijets, I played as a mandatory 4 of, because Dijet is your recovery engine. Put your grade 3s back into the deck. Very useful scenario, so in case things are going bad, you can actually put them right back in. And you got your Die Bazookas, which are, you know, a mandatory 4 of, because they usually help everything else out. They are, you know, your pseudo grade 3 on your drive checks for Die Kaisers. And of course, you know, your unflipping and soul charging, because all that's really important. Last, I played 1 copy of Die Dragon. This was a 3 at one point, but I wanted to try out the bois, so I made it a 1 of. So that way, if I needed a target for Die Earth, sometimes it was if I was out of Die Jets, then I could just go into the Die Dragon and call him out there and have him swing for 12Ks. Alright, on to the big super duper mecha robots. As always, I played 1 copy of the Cross Break Ride and 1 copy of Shadow Kaiser. I play 1 copy of each because damage does happen. You know, G-assist does happen. A whole lot of things do happen that may result in you not having a chance to get off your best abilities. So sometimes you might need to Shadow Kaiser it up into your Cross Break Ride, and of course you get your triple drive check if you have the Counter Blast available, which is even more relevant because you have Die Bazooka. So I keep them in there, and of course a 13k base is still a respectable thing in this game. I mean, if I could have gotten this off against my Aquaforce matchup, I think that I would have been less of an issue then. But like I said, hindsight's 2020 as always, so something to keep in mind for future reference. Mandatory 4 of for my for the Break Ride for Die Kaiser. You want to see 4 of those because, you know, it's good to make sure that you have your copies all set in stone or whatnot. Break Ride, you go ham and make them drop their hand or take massive damage. Of course, that's kind of been the mainstay of the clan since this card came out. So make sure you keep those as a 4 for now until we get something that almost makes it want to play less of them. But right now, the leg is coming anytime soon. And then that leaves me with 4 other grade 3s, which was 2 of the mates and 2 of the True Ultimate Dimensional Robos. So you got your 2 and 2. I played 2 of each because I played 1 Shadow Kaiser and 1 Great Die Kaiser. So by doing it that way, I was able to manifest the ability to have versatility in my build. And that's something that I always preface, is like, I love versatility. So for me, having access to both Great Die Kaiser and Great Daisha and Cross Break Ride, it makes life a little bit easier for everyone involved. So I said, let's go with it. That's going to be our play then. Alright. So that was the main deck build. And the strides, pretty simple, pretty basic things. I played 1 Dark Superman Omega. He's your alt win condition. Sometimes you might be able to sneak yourself a win if your opponent catches you slipping and you're not quite set up to go into a Legion Break Ride turn, or you don't have a better play at the moment. So it could, you know, if you exhaust a lot of your major plays, it's good to have Omega around. He just simply sometimes just steals games just from pressure alone. Though it was hard to justify running it without the extra stand triggers in here, because the stands are what really make Omega terrifying. Because having, you know, possibly 4 or 5 attacks at a Vanguard that's like at 2k power or 1k power or even negative, depending on certain matchups, it's like you like Omega for those exact reasons. So I was playing Omega. That means I played 1 copy of X-Rogue. Yes, that means that the Great X-Tiger was not in my build this weekend. The way I figured is that you want a good first stride, and usually that's Die Earth if things are going, you know, as they should. But sometimes you just need to go ahead and get yourself back in the game card-wise. So X-Rogue is usually pretty good for that. Get to that number and hit your opponent nice and hard. I played 4 copies of Leon this weekend because Leon was a very helpful card as far as, you know, just scaring your opponents into oblivion. Most people would figure that you only run as a 2 of, and the reason why you run more of those is because you almost guarantee the break on the triple drive. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, if you're die jetting and you're recycling your grade 3s properly, you should have no problem breaking through at least one guard every time he gets a skill off. So, I mean, I feel like as a 4-off, he was at his best. I'll probably keep that in there for future builds. Well, when we go to 16, he's definitely staying in for future builds. But that's just part of the process from there. Finally, my 2 copies of Great Die Earth. If I had a 4th, I'd play 4. But right now, I only have 3, so I'm only playing 2 of, and that's what gives me space for Omega and X-Row. Die Earth is your recovery play. It's your setup play for Daikaiju Leon to have himself a nice field of buddies to swing with. Of course, if you get off another Die Earth, then you kind of get a chance to fortify yourself for a solid turn afterwards, because then it can be your die jet, putting back your mechs and all that good stuff. And it could save you a whole lot of trouble in the greater grind game if you ever get into those with Robos, which is oh so terrifying. But for the most part, that was my ARG states report. Like I said, I went 3-2. I got 17th overall out of 32, so I'd say it was a fairly decent showing for me. I think I did really well today, well, yesterday I should say. And I'm looking forward to future battles and future trips. With that said, that is my report. This has been Will Cole. I'll be signing off, and as always, everyone, believe in justice.